In this video, I want to talk about actual evidence of massive stablecoin adoption because of the Genius Act, and that stablecoin being MNEE, built on top of the original Bitcoin protocol. Just finished up a space, about 2 hours. As a live one, I'll post a link to it at the end. You can watch the deep dive where Mr. Ben came on the space and he showed me, and I went through what's happening with money, the stablecoin. And I talked about this when it started, and I found out about money. Now, money, the stablecoin is put out by a guy called Ron. He is a Canadian guy. He knew Calvin. It's not Calvin Air, but it's a different guy. And he's also lives in Antigua. And Ron and his team at Money have been dedicated to U.S. stablecoin adoption, not Europe, not other countries, U.S. stablecoin adoption. Smart move on their part. It's almost like they knew that the Genius Act was coming ahead of time, because they focused all their energy on becoming 1,000% compliant and legal, almost like they knew the Genius Act was coming. Because now the Genius Act is out, and Tether is now showing to, they're being called out. Now, on the space, we talked about this, about Tether and what the potential risks are with holding Tether and BTC with the Ponzi. And that is this. The Genius Act has basically made a call to action for Tether with a little over a 2-year timeline, saying, look, Tether, you need to get legit. You need to have all your transactions auditable, everything 100% legit, having treasuries behind it. Otherwise, you're basically operating illegally, in the U.S. So Tether, instead of, trying to get more legal, and what do? They go out and print more funny money right as soon as the Satoshi era coin starts selling and liquidating the 80,000 BTC. They print massive amount of injection into the market of funny money. So they look like they don't really care about the law, at least by their actions. But they got time to play their little game for a little while longer. But just shout out to Money and Ron and those guys. And what they did was they just decided to become completely compliant, 100% legal and legit, auditable and transparent with buying treasuries. Now when you look at the chart of Money, the stablecoin, what it says is the price was going like this, up and down, like any other stablecoin. It would go up 1%, down 1%, not even 1%, just a micro percent. But it was doing that over and over again. Then all of a sudden on July 29th, that's shortly thereafter, the 80,000 BTC announcement was on July 25th was when that announcement was made by Galaxy Digital that the 80,000 BTC was going into what's called a notion sale, meaning it's not liquidating into fiat. It's not like a taxable event. It's likely going into derivatives or treasuries. And the treasuries are the more likely outcome. So the 80,000 BTC being converted to treasuries, well, where do they go? Now, I would say this is speculation if I didn't have the evidence to back it up. But the chart on Money, when you look at it, it says the price has completely flatlined to a straight line. I'd never seen that before in a stablecoin. If you remember back in the day when I had Luna and I got rug pulled on UST. It was a great stable coin. It was super stable. It was supposed to be really good till all of a sudden it freaking went redline down to zero. And I got caught holding the bag. A lot of other people did too. Well, this time Money is not doing the fluctuation anymore. It's stabilizing. What would cause that? Massive amount of treasuries. If you had, let's say, 30 million in treasuries, and it was doing this, and then all of a sudden you had 1 billion, 5 billion, 8 billion, 10 billion in treasuries to all of a sudden back you up, it would stop. I think, now that's where I'm speculating. What caused Money to do that? I guess it's probably a better question. Why did they stabilize? This is the only thing that makes any sense to me, is that they're backed by the Satoshi era coins now. So the point is that while everybody's hoping for the Bitcoin revolution, my point is get the original Bitcoin off of all exchanges. get it out of the bucket shops. Have it removed. If it's not doing legitimate Bitcoin, original Bitcoin transactions, if there's any wash trading, get it out of there. Because when the music stops with Tether and BTC, because it will eventually stop. I mean, Michael Saylor says it's going to go up forever. It's never going to go down. Well, when it does stop, it's going to stop. It's just a matter of when. I mean, and then that creates the price sell panic. Once Michael Saylor starts to sell, I have a video breaking down all this. You don't want to be tied to Tether. If you're tied to Tether, well, you're going to be affected. You're going down too with the ship. But imagine if the original Bitcoin was not tied to Tether and it was not on all these tethered exchanges, these bucket shops. Well, it may suck in the short term because you're going to maybe do a price. But if you're in the short term, okay, and you're thinking short term, then I don't recommend looking at any of this stuff. Because in the short term, it's probably not going to be great. Short term. If you're looking at short term, I want to get rich quick, you're probably going to be better off, like I've talked about recently. I mean, gold maybe silver, the Metallicus probably, otherwise trading in something else. I don't know. I'm not, getting rich quick is not really my thing. But as long as you realize this is going to be at least another 2-year plan, right? That's where it's going to be, at least 2 years. Get off the exchanges, because in 2 years, when the music stops on Tether and on BTC, because with the Clarity Act coming in, it's going to stop the music. BTC cannot survive as a mature blockchain under the Clarity Act. You don't want to be tethered, and that's all. If you get off all those exchanges, my point is that having it just become a onboarding ramp with money and this massive liquidity, it makes it the most stable, most reliable, most legit stable coin. Most compliant stablecoin. And even if it's not adopted, you've got Satoshi adopting it potentially. And if Satoshi's adopting it, this is where the fun the fun starts, because you got Satoshi, when he sold all that BTC, he also sold the BCH, and it was at the same time. Now, I talked about in the space that I think there was a time lock. It was transferred on a time lock. Because it happened at the same time. That French guy that wrote that blog article, he said the BCH, he showed the BCH and the BTC moved at the same time and the same amount. How could that not have been done by a machine? You can't do it at the same exact time. It's humanly impossible. So they moved, and that was a huge amount too. So it looked like it was triggered to do that. But they left the BSV, the original Bitcoin, the shitcoin, that they call BSV, the scam. That didn't sell. And now Satoshi is liquidating those two positions with Galaxy Digital, and the money stablecoin is flatlined. I made a recommendation and a hot hope to Money and those guys that Casey should start working with them. She wants to, Miss Casey Nicole, she wants to help people onboard and start working with a stablecoin is the best way. If you're a local small business and you're trying to be compliant and you're trying to be legit, well, you sure as heck don't want to be onboarding with BTC and these others because it's so unstable. But a stable coin, the most flat, secure stable coin, digital dollar, is the way to go. And that looks like it's going to be money. So if there's a way to create that bridge now that it's legal in the U.S. to have the stable coins, that seems to be the massive opportunity right there, is onboarding people to the stablecoin money. Because they can use Ethereum or they can use the BSV rail, Bitcoin rails. BSV is a scam name token that they ruined. So I'm just calling it the original Bitcoin protocol. It's just a base layer protocol, Bitcoin. I try not to say BSV. So yeah, all right. So is the stablecoin adoption actually is the Bitcoin revolution going to happen actually through a stablecoin? Check into the space. It's a long space. It's a good space. I recommend it towards the second hour. At the end of the second hour, I had Mr. Ben on, and he really dives deep into this. You can watch this, the full analogy about this, and I show the post on the screen as well. So I'll post a link to it at the end. Hit the ones, leave a comment, everybody. Thank you for watching. My name is Gavin Mehl. I'll see you at the top.